Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to a new season for the Premier League fans. We are predicting game week 1 as it gets underway this weekend. How are you doing, Sophie?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Looking forward to the Prem being back as well as the Championship now, so yeah.
Absolutely, I cannot wait for this, guys. We're doing this every week now for the Premier League as well as the Championship. Drop a thumbs up, we'll go for 200 likes on this video. Subscribe and get your predictions down below, even if you agree or disagree with us. Let's see what you have to say down in the comments. Let's start with Friday night's game, Crystal Palace versus Arsenal. Now, Arsenal, I've got to say, in pre-season have impressed me. Some good signings. Obviously, Gabriel Jesus is that main one. I just think Palace away is not an easy game for any of the top 6 teams. And I think Vieira gets in the way of his old team here. I think it'll be an interesting game, but I'm saying a share of the spoils on the Friday night. 1-1.
Okay, I thought we might be saying the same on the first one, but no, I do agree. I think it's going to be a draw. I do think it's going to be... It's quite a tough one to call, to be honest, because as you say, Palace isn't an easy place to go. But both teams, I think they're going to have a good season. So a draw for me, but more goals, so 2-2. A
2-2 draw, that would be exciting. Next up we move on to Saturday's lunchtime game, which is between Fulham, who won the Championship, very impressive last year, against Liverpool, who will be going for the title this year. They came second, nearly won a quadruple, and I think Fulham could do okay this season. I have actually predicted them to go down. I just think it's a very tough game. I just think Fulham... The history shows us they do struggle in the Premier League. I'd like to see them do well. I just don't think this is an easy game whatsoever. I think Liverpool looked very good in the Community Shield, I must say, and I think they win this game quite comfortably. I'll say 2-0 to Liverpool.
I think Fulham might actually score, you know, because sometimes with Liverpool they look a little bit shaky at the back. But I can only see a Liverpool win here, to be honest. So I'm going to say 3-1. I do think there'll be goals, and I don't think Fulham will have enough to keep out more.
No.
So, yeah,
3-1. Next up we go to the Vitality, AFC Bournemouth versus Aston Villa. Interesting game. Villa will see it as a game they must target. They're playing a newly promoted team. Bournemouth might see it as one where they could get a result. They are at home for the opening game. I just think Villa have more quality. Bournemouth have brought in Tavernier. Not a lot of business there. I would like to see them do well. I think there is goal power in that team, so I do think they score here. But I just think Villa are going to be very strong. I think Villa might get even better as the season goes on with lots of new faces coming into this team. And I'll say Gerrard's team win here. 2-1 to Aston Villa.
Yeah, I'm going the exact same here. I see both sides scoring, but I don't think Bournemouth have had a very good summer. I don't know if they're just kind of hoping for the best or what their plan is, to be honest, but I don't see them getting the win here. So 2-1 Villa.
Next up we go to Ellen Road as Leeds take on Wolves. Interesting game this one. Leeds will want to push on a bit after last season, flirting around the relegation zone. They've had a lot of business go on. Wolves, meanwhile, not all too much business going on, but if you look at what they did last season, very impressive. Can they follow it up with another good season? I think Wolves will edge this. I think it's a tricky place to go, Ellen Road, but I do think Wolves have got just a bit too much quality for me. I think it'll be a close game. I'll say 1-0 to Wolves.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I do think it's going to be a close game, but for me, I can see a draw playing out. Okay. So I'll say 1-1.
1-1 for that one. Now next up is a game we'll stream on the Saturday, very big one, Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest. And the reason I'm looking forward to this game is because there's so much positivity at both clubs. Forest have just come up, a 23-year absence from the Premier League, and Newcastle obviously bringing in good players. They've been linked with Maddison at the moment. I'll tell you what a signing that would be. But looking at the players they've brought in already, Sven Botman, Pope, Target, there's plenty of quality coming in, and I think under Eddie Howe they'll have a good season. I just think there could be a surprise in store here. I'm going to say Forest go and win. I don't know why.
You're a Forest fan, aren't you?
I'm saying Forest win this 2-1.
I'm going to go the other way. I think Newcastle win this 2-1. I do think Forest will have an alright season. I think they're going to have enough to stay up, but opening day for them against Newcastle is quite a tough one. As you said, there's a lot of positivity around both teams. Newcastle are on the way up, obviously, and I think they're going to cement that with a win on the opening day. So 2-1 Newcastle.
Could be an interesting match, that one. Next up we go to Tottenham playing against Southampton. Spurs with a lot of positivity as well. They've got Conte, they've still got Kane, they've got Kulusevski, Son, and the players they've brought in, Perisic, Richarlison. So much quality joining this Spurs team that I think after Liverpool and Man City, they're my favourite to join them in the top 4. Southampton, meanwhile, are a team that have been in the Premier League for 10 years, and I think it could be close with the relegation battle this season. We'll wait and see. I think Southampton have got bits of quality in there. James Ward-Prowse being the main one for me. I just think it's a very tough opening game for the Saints. I think Spurs win this 3-1.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-0 Spurs. I think one of the main things for Spurs is their firepower, and when they get going, they just roll teams, and I think that could happen against the Saints. So 3-0 Spurs.
3-0. Next up is the evening game on the Saturday, Everton versus Chelsea. Lampard against his former team here. And we saw Everton beat the likes of Chelsea last season when they really needed to get results to stay up. And I wonder if they can have that crowd on their side at the start of this season. I look at their squad, there's been the likes of Tarkowski joining, which isn't bad, but Richarlison going. I just think there's a lack of firepower, and when you haven't got many goals in your team, I think you could be near the relegation battle. I do think Everton as a club are big enough and strong enough to survive again, but it might not be a great season again. I think Chelsea will win this. I think Chelsea will be too strong. 2-1 to Chelsea.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that you might have said like more goals to Chelsea, to be fair, but I don't think Everton are going to make it an easy game, especially being at home.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's going to back Chelsea to win this, and I'm going to have to agree, but I don't think it's going to be by much. So I'll just say 1-0 Chelsea.
1-0. Next up, we move to Sunday. Leicester City taking on Brentford. Do you know what? Leicester City, as good as they are and as good as they have been for a long stretch of time now, this transfer window has been pretty quiet from them. And if Maddison goes, which he hasn't at the moment, that could be a disaster.
Big loss for them. Yeah.
I just don't see too much quality joining their team. Meanwhile, Brentford have lost Ericsson. That's a big loss. I don't think there'll be all too much in this. I think Leicester will be pushing for the top 10 again, hopefully for the top 8 for them. Brentford will be pushing just to survive again, maybe to climb towards mid-table this time round. I'll say they both start with a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I'm going to back a draw as well, but I think it's going to be a 0-0 stalemate. I think it's going to be a fairly exciting one. They're both going to have opportunities, but I can't see any team making the breakthrough, so 0-0.
Next up, Manchester United take on Brighton. Manchester United have watched a lot of during pre-season, and now you look at their squad taking a bit of shape. Ronaldo looks like he's going to be staying. Ericsson joining, Martinez. Quite a bit of quality, and I think Pogba going out is actually, for me, a good thing for them because, you know, he's an ego going out the door. Yeah. Brighton is not an easy game for anyone.
Now anyway, isn't he? So,
he is, actually. Yeah. Brighton's not an easy game for any of the top 6 teams, but I think Manchester United on the opening day need to go and get the 3 points. They cannot mess about dropping points this early, and I think Ten Hag wins his first Premier League game with Manchester United 3-1.
Oh, okay, you're backing them. See, I found it interesting what you said about Ronaldo. Yeah, he is staying, but do you really want a player to stay if he doesn't want to? Like, is he really going to perform? I mean, it's Ronaldo, so probably, but I don't know if his attitude's there. I'm actually going to say a 1-1 draw. Ooh. I think this is going to be a bit of an upset, but United, you kind of look at them, you think the squad, they've got an unreal squad, to be honest. I quite like the manager as well. I think he's going to do a good job, but I think there's going to be a bit of an upset, so 1-1.
Certainly a lot of firepower with Rashford, Martial and Sancho. If they can get them firing on all cylinders. The last game is West Ham versus Manchester City. Manchester City, for me, always end the season strong. But at the start of the season, they could slip up in these kind of games. And West Ham away is not an easy game for anyone. I think this will be a very close game, and I just fancy Man City, just with that squad depth and the power they've got. They weren't amazing in the Community Shield, but I think they have got just a bit too much for West Ham here. I think West Ham 1, Manchester City 2.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3-1 Man City. I can see them kind of going 1-0 down, to be honest, and thinking, oh, Man City having a bit of a wobbler, and then they just start scoring, because when they get going and when they start playing well with their possession-based football, they're just so hard to beat. So I do think they're going to win, and I think like a fairly convincing win, because West Ham, they're not a bad team either, and I think they're going to finish right up there, but Man City are just, they're just class, aren't they? So I think they're going to start the season off with a win.
There you go. That wraps up our predictions for Premier League Game Week 1. Get your thoughts in, get your comments in, drop a like and subscribe, and we'll see you for Game Week 2 next week. Peace out.